future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it
Sandy.
anymore. Just to try and make us.
Hey there, everyone, and good evening, America. This is your host, Alan Lissauer from Financial Sanity Now. We try to bring a little financial sanity into your life. I am here with a special guest who's reappearing on the show.
I'm back.
A dear friend, a personal trainer who will give you a number later in the show, just because we do have to give her a plug for coming on. And also a dear friend and very much an assistant producer. She's great at helping produce this show. But tonight, she will be representing another sect of society, the sect of society she is, which is she's got a ton of student loan debts, and she has a lot of credit card debts. And that's just what we'll be talking about. So remember, everyone out there listening, this is not my show. This is not Ariana's show. This is your show. Let me say that again. This is your show. Finally, a place for you to come, a place for you to complain. Yes, you can complain, to be concerned, to get answers, and finally to work out your consumer problems. We have no interest in politics here. We don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, a socialist, a libertarian. We don't care. We just want to hear your story. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your consumer problems. We want to hear you get angry. We want to hear what makes you upset.
We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad.
And we're not going to leave you alone either. We know things are bad out there when you turn on the television. We know there are shootings. We know there's debt. In fact, debt is more excessive now than it's ever been in our country's history. So we want to hear from you. We're interested in what affects you. Call in at 323-524-2599 or text us at 310-384-4352. Let me say the call-in number again, 323-524-2599. Tell us your complaints, and let's get some answers for them. Now, let's go into the topics of today's show, okay? We're going to go over two topics. We're starting off with a big issue that's sweeping the nation. That's student loan debt. We did touch on this before, but we're going to go deeper. The student loan debt now is about $1.5 trillion. So I think it's worth having another look at it. We know it's an issue. How many people are graduating now with 50, 60, 70? I know people with $200,000 in student loan debt. And then they walk off the graduation stage, and they're very happy, and they're pretty much doomed to financial failure, unless maybe they're a doctor or a lawyer, and they get a big case. Otherwise, they're going to be in debt for 20 or 30 years. We're going to go into this more. We were appalled to find out there was that much money owed. It surpasses the amount we own on credit card debt, and that's a lot as well. Did you hear that students are being victimized in this vicious loan cycle? We want to shed light on it. I guess if you have the problem, you've heard of it. So we do have some answers. We'll get into that, and that's the important part of the show. So keep listening. The second topic, we're going to hit on Americans' addiction to credit cards. The addiction is real. It starts when people are in college. My daughter has offers every day in the mail for Gold Card, for the Discover Card, for City Gold Card. Hey, folks, she's not working. She's still a student in nursing school. Why are they sending her these? And she did take advantage of one of them, wound up in $3,000 debt at 24% interest, and she can't pay it. Hello, Dad. This is not a good thing. This is irresponsible on the part of the banks. But the addiction's real. When kids get a credit card and it has $1,000 on it, they think it's free money. They're going to go to a concert or what are those things they go to? Raves in Las Vegas, something like that. Okay, and they just get more accumulated debt. This is setting up young people for consumer debt. Not like every age group isn't addicted to it. It just starts there. I have a couple in just reaching 30 that has 18 credit cards. How do you get 18 credit cards? And they all have high balances.
Why do you need 18 credit cards?
I
is
don't
the
know.
question. Where's like, the first 15? Was the first 15 not a sign that maybe they shouldn't have gotten maybe a few more?
And that's right. And what about the fact that doesn't the credit people look at this and go, hey, you've had enough credit cards?
How many lines of credit can you still continue to open?
Well, what's happened is they opened them and now they have to close them all.
And that ruins your credit score at the end of the
Ruins
day.
the credit score. So it's setting up people for financial failure. We want you to avoid that. We're here to talk to you about how, when you get these credit card offerings, how to say no to them. So young Americans in their 20s and 30s are now suffering debt at levels never before seen. It's not to say seniors aren't or middle-aged people aren't. They've already been suffering. They're just continuing their suffering. It's estimated that 70% of Americans live month to month in this country. If something would happen, if there's an accident, if someone trips and falls, if a child gets ill, that's it. They're now either on the road to bankruptcy or, better yet, call us. Maybe we can help. But
most people trade dollars for hours these days.
yeah,
It's a big deal. Not too many people have residual income set up to where even if
right.
they're not on their floor, whether that's in their office or in their working space where they're making income or they're on a salary, not too many people these days are on salary. A lot of people are paid hourly, unfortunately, and these are the people who are accumulating more credit debt, the people who are getting paid hourly versus people who are getting paid salary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is true. And I know even people on salaries, we live in Los Angeles over here. I don't know. We're talking to all parts of the country. But here, even if you make $60,000 a year on a salary, by the time you pay your taxes, you're probably down to 43. That's less than $4,000 a month. People can't live on it here. Rents are over $2,000 a month alone.
Just alone, yeah.
Right?
For nothing at that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
For not a nice apartment.
So we're going to talk about credit card debt. How did it get this bad? And more importantly, what can we do? And we need to change our habits. That's one thing we'll go into. So please call us at 323-524-2599 or text us at 310-384-4352. I additionally want to mention, because a caller did ask, do we have a website? Yes, we do. It's www.financialsanitynow.com. Let me say it again, www.financialsanitynow.com. You'll find a lot of information on there. So let's talk about our first topic, student loan debt.
Helped hundreds of homeowners.
Oh, well, that was a little interruption, but okay, we're going to go to student loan debt. The student loan debt surpasses all other debts, that accumulated debt that's in this country, except for the federal government, which is $19 trillion in debt. So when we add up the student loan debt and the credit card debt and okay, we're a mess. And we're all living on debt. So we should think about that a little bit. Who is holding that debt? Because debt is business. It's big business for the people that own the debt. They're all making interest. Talk about residual income. That's who has the residual income. They're living on the interest that everyone else is paying. I'm not saying interest is a bad thing, but I'm saying it's, in the case of student loan debt, it's a terrible thing. And we're going to go into some of the reasons why it's a terrible thing. First of all, if you're a student and you don't graduate with something that you can really work at and make money, like a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, you're going to have a big problem. Okay? Philosophy majors, I don't know. You're going to have to figure out what you're doing to pay off this student loan debt. I don't know a lot of jobs. Am I wrong for philosophy majors?
I don't know if per se philosophy majors in general, but yes, if you are, from my perspective and my experience, people who are not finding themselves into like very serious type of majors are not necessarily doing the type of back work that'll allow them to dive into a career early enough so when they do graduate, they can land a job. Yeah. So maybe for art majors and philosophy majors and certain literature majors, et cetera, whatever you may, bubble them up in, if they're not pursuing a solid career while they're going to school, they're going to be left behind. And a lot of people just in general, in all majors, we're seeing that, even in, the higher business majors and medical, different types of doctor majors. And, at the end of the day, you are who you kind of push yourself to be. Yes. And if you're not out there making connections and even just doing free internship work, I feel like that's another thing that students aren't aware of, that they can be winding themselves up into. Right? And because then you're not winding yourself up with 6 months of debt on top of your student loan debt because it took you 6 months to a year to find a job, instead of already having some opportunities lined up, or at least solid interviews by the time you graduate, because you have enough experience to start interviewing. At that point, you're living off your credit cards.
Or your
even more, or your parents, and you're accumulating your parents' debt.
Right.
And then that's just accumulating even more debt. So at the end of the day, my opinion is, I feel like some majors do set you up for success and some don't set you up for as much success, but it is upon the individual themselves to go out there and find a new position or some jobs.
I agree. And I will say that I love philosophy.
Me too.
I love sitting around talking philosophy. I love political science and I love literature. But just for you people who have those jobs, unless maybe you're going to become a teacher, that's
like a professor.
Not, a professor. Okay, that's an okay job, but you still have to pay back this student loan. The delinquency rate for student loans is growing, though. It's higher than the delinquency rate than any other kind of a loan. Right now, it's at 12%. So 12% of $1.4 trillion is $168 billion worth of loans in default. That is a tremendous figure, $168 billion. They're in default. Now, these people are being marked late on their credit reports. They're accumulating interest. What do the banks expect to do with this type of default rate? In fact, I do want to read an article I have here because it's very disturbing to me. I want to reference it. Not political. I don't have a party affiliation, but our current administration wants to gut its Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and give it no power over student loan complaints. And not only they want to, they've done it. So you don't even have a place to go with your complaints. 44 million Americans are currently saddled with this $1.4 trillion. So if we take 12% of that, we're looking at about 6-7 million people in default at this moment. That's
a good amount of the population.
That's a lot of people,
That's getting me angry.
The Bureau received 23,000 complaints last year regarding student loans. The way they're collected, the way interest is done, and they did produce over $750 million in relief for student loan borrowers. That's gone now. Hello, everyone who's voting. You need to tell your representatives the CFPB is a great organization. It's probably the only thing we have at this moment besides us. And we are Just us, we're trying, okay? We want to get this known, and we want you people to understand that we're holding the flag, but it's tough. It's tough. If you're one of these people who have a student loan, I need you to call us. I need you to write us. I need you to go to our website, because there are a few programs, depending on your situation, that could really help you. And I'm going to go into that very shortly. We have an expert who's going to talk about that a little more for us in a little while. Let me just say this. Tuition costs have risen dramatically. I'm not sure what year UCLA was free, but I know, because I didn't live in California when it was free, but I don't think it was more than 10 or 15 years ago you could go to UCLA without paying tuition. Is that correct?
I would think a little bit more than that. I would think maybe like 20 or 25 years ago, because I
think
know
that
people who were
long
going to
time goes
UCLA
by?
10 years ago who were
But
paying.
What were they paying? But what were they paying? Because the tuition keeps going up. Now, what is it, $10,000 a semester? Or
Oh, well,
for
UCLA?
in-state? UCLA.
Oh, probably more than that. I know just for a local Cal State, it was
Local, okay,
yeah,
Cal State,
$3,000 a semester.
Okay.
So that's $6,000 a year, and that's
Right.
just for a local Cal State.
And that doesn't include books. It doesn't,
That doesn't
include
include-
room. It
no.
doesn't include board. It doesn't include.
And that's
anything.
affordable. That's affordable.
That's a great price
That's a
these
great
days.
price. And we got a solid education. We got one of the best educations
Sure.
for our for my
Absolutely.
major. But the sad thing is, a lot of these classes, and what people don't realize is that your early classes and your general education classes can be done at a lower end community college.
That is a great point.
And you can save a ton of money. And people are
yes.
getting stuck into these, I got to go to a 4-year because it's prestige.
Right.
And it's their ego and whatever gets in the way, I understand. But if you really want to save your money and you really want to be smart, take advantage of the community college systems that we have all across
would
America.
You say a little bit more about that, because I have to take an emergency call. I'll be
That's
right
fine.
back. Go ahead.
I myself went to a community college, a local community college, particularly because I was a daughter of a single mom, and I did not want her to have to pay an arm and a leg to put me through my general ed education. I knew I had some classes to make up, and I knew I had a little bit ways to work to get all of my credits in. Why would I have her pay an extra $6,000 for 3 years straight when I could be paying literally a fraction of that year by year at a community college? To me, it made more sense. I was still out on my own. We still had expenses piling up. And of course, I was working 3 jobs just so that I could afford to live out on my own, go to school, and figure out some way in all of the things I had going on, my social life, and try to possibly start to pay back a little bit of my mom, the money I started to borrow. Well, granted, 6 years later, I did graduate from a university, which I am extremely proud of, and I love the fact that I do have that degree, but I know that that education that I received is the exact same education that people are paying $20,000 and $30,000 a year for. If you could save that per year, and possibly for your parents or on your own, especially if you're your own self paying for college and you have to pile up the student loan debt in your own name, take advantage of these community colleges, because you're going to pay sometimes only $30, $40 a unit, but it's a lot cheaper. It's the same education, and oftentimes you have a lot more benefits from being in the community college system. So some of them operate on sister colleges where you can get into another
Right.
college. So if you are a student who does want to go to UCLA, but you don't have the money right now, and you think that a higher grade point average and classes will help you, and that way you don't have to pay for the rest of your education, it's a great opportunity to look into, especially if you're even going back to school. Going back to school is a great way to look into community
I
college.
think that's great. I will tell you a success story. Chanel, my
Mm-hmm.
daughter, went 2 years to Pierce. She didn't have great grades, so she went. She took her courses. She was never that great in math or science, but she wanted to become a nurse. So there's a call. I'm going to go over this success story in a minute. It's always important to take the caller.
Got to bring on our caller.
Hello, caller. Hello.
Hello. What's your name and where are
Hi,
you
how's it
calling
going,
from?
Alan? My name is Daniel, and I'm calling from Los Angeles, California.
Oh, it's our friend Danny.
Yeah, it's our friend Danny. You know, we want to tell you that we did ask Danny to call because Danny knows a lot about student loans. Danny, how long have you been working with student loans now?
Well, around 2010, I started in the federal student loan business.
Okay, so that's
Pretty
more than most people. Yes. So our listeners have some questions they would like answered because there's a lot of misinformation about student loans and what can be done about them. So let's try to educate them a little bit. First, can you tell us when does a student loan? I'll give you an example. I'm about to go to school. I need $20,000 for my first year. I take out the $20,000. I don't have to pay that back till after I graduate. That's my understanding. But when does the interest start accruing?
Well, that's with an unsubsidized loan. So interest starts accruing on subsidized loans. The interest doesn't accrue during the time you're in school. But on a unsubsidized loan, you're actually accruing interest while you're in school.
Can you? Okay. Okay. That brings me to another question, which I don't know. What is a subsidized loan? Who subsidizes it?
Subsidized loans means that the government is paying off your interest while you're attending school, and an unsubsidized loan means that you're accruing interest while you're attending school. So that's the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized.
So when a person gets a loan, they should ask that question: is this subsidized or not subsidized? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
What are most loans? Subsidized or not?
Well, I mean, it varies. There's FFEL loans. There's subsidized, unsubsidized. There's direct loans.
All right, you're confusing me already, which is good. Which is good because it is a difficult topic. Most people can't navigate this the way you do. So,
Yeah,
so we get it.
It gets fairly difficult.
So we get it. There's subsidized and non-subsidized. And if it is subsidized, then the interest will start accruing the moment you graduate. Is that how it works, or when you get a job?
So subsidized means that it's paying off the interest while you're attending school.
Period.
And then the unsubsidized means that you're accruing interest throughout from the time that you take out the loan.
Okay. So if I'm in school and I finish most of my credits, but I kind of drag it out a little for 2 more years, and while I'm doing that, I'm getting a job on the side, that'd keep me from getting interest, or do I have to be in school like full time?
Well, you would have to be at least half-time into school in order to get the benefits of a subsidized loan.
Okay.
So if you want the government to be paying the interest while you're in school, you would have to be at least half-time in school.
Okay, got it. That's very good information. Now, my understanding is there are federal and private loans.
Uh-huh.
It's a little confusing, and I know we spoke before off camera, and you told me you really can't tell if a loan is private or not until you see the loan. Is that correct?
Yeah, but there's a way of just separating the two. I mean, there's a website where we could go on, review the loans,
Okay. That's
and
good.
if that on that federal website, if it doesn't pick up any loans, the majority of the time that means that it's a private loan.
I see. So which ones are more, well, I would say more easy. That's not proper grammar. Which ones are easier, or let's say are more possible, private or federal?
Well, I mean, federal gets a little bit more tedious. You have higher interest rates and higher payments.
Okay.
But on federal loans, it's a federally insured program. So, I mean, you have fixed interest rates with federal loans. A lot more people have federal loans out there than private loans.
So are there more programs in terms of, say, what you do or what we could do together to alleviate the burden of student loans for federally backed loans versus private loans?
Yeah, there are income-based programs offered by the government. So
Okay.
that's what I would say is that the income-driven forgiveness plans
I think your
would
dog's
probably
there.
be the best thing.
Okay, so forgiveness plans. Okay, who is
Correct. They're part of the Healthcare and Education Reconciliation Act of 2010. So
is that going to
that
end?
pretty much reduces.
Is that going to
Yeah,
end?
it reduces the
It's ending.
actual
I'm just saying.
the actual amount that you're paying out,
Yes.
and also adds loan forgiveness to the loan.
Is this bill or law have a sunset clause, meaning does it stop at any given time, or is this program going to continue through 2018? Do you know that?
Well, there are talks of switching over the bill, but nothing is set in stone.
No,
Congress would have to sign
not with
off on
our
it.
Congress. So when is it due to end?
We really don't know.
All right,
It's really up
we're
to
gonna have
Congress.
to research that.
Yeah.
But so it exists today. I mean, for instance, I know like solar credits. Sometimes they have a sunshine clause on them, right? But okay, so that's a question. If anyone out there knows, please call in with it. And if not, we will look that up and post it on our website. Okay, how long this is going to go on. But right now, let me ask you this. Who is Navient? And who is Sallie Mae?
Navient's one of the biggest federal loan companies out there.
Now that's private.
They deal with federal and private loans.
Okay, so they're I guess we'd call that a servicer. They're just
Yeah,
servicing the loan.
they're a loan servicer, correct?
That's all.
But they're a private entity that carries the loans for the Department of Education.
Okay, so trying to understand this, I guess I'm thinking more in way of paper, finance paper. Is it their paper or is it the government's paper? Do you know?
Well, it's a government-insured loan, but it's
Okay.
given to different loan servicers to collect the
Okay.
debt because the
All right.
Department of Education is not a collection. They don't collect any money. So they
No,
have
I know that.
various different banks like Great Lakes, Navient,
Great
ACF
Lakes.
Servicing to collect the debt. So they're just
Okay.
a loan servicer to collect the debt.
Okay, and that's who you deal with. Is that correct? Do you deal directly
go-
with Navient, or you go?
We pretty much work with the laws that go through the Department of Education.
Okay,
So
let's hope they don't change too much under what's going on now. So I think you answered my next question. It was which loans can possibly be modified, and I'll use the definition of modification to mean any change in terms that helps the consumer. Any change, and you're saying more would be government-backed loans. What about private loans? Ever? Can anyone do anything with them? Ever? Except,
yeah, I mean, there are things out there for private loans. It's a little bit different. It has to do a lot with consumer rights, and
okay.
yeah, I mean, there are alternatives for private loans. Not a lot of people handle private loans because it's a little bit more tedious,
Yes.
but there are people out there that could work with consumer laws in order to sometimes, dispute the charge pretty much with the bank.
Well, while you're disputing all these, are you late? Danny, I don't know if you know this. Something that I found out. Over 12% of the loans are now in default. Something like $168 billion are in default. $168 billion are in default right now. Do you run
Yeah,
across
just last year, 1.1 million people fell into default, and that's from what the Department of Education came back with. So just last year alone, 1.1 people fell into default just in 2016.
I don't know about our listeners out there, but this makes me upset. It makes me upset that this is what we're doing to our students, to our young people. They're going into such deep debt, and there's not many avenues. I mean, there's an avenue here, perhaps. And you said to me, perhaps you have to look over each loan and see if there's even a way through this. But otherwise, they're straddled with a lot of debt. And obviously, certain people can't afford it anymore. So now they're straddled with debt, and they're straddled with bad credit. You know, how do they get a house? What are we doing to ourselves as a country? We're supposed to be helping people, and I'll say this when I grow up, and I know it was a while ago. It doesn't feel like it, but it was. When I grew up, most schools, I went to NYU, and I have to tell you, it was affordable. We could afford it. We weren't super rich. My father, thankfully, had some money, but wasn't super rich or anything. Most schools were affordable. Most people could afford a house. Most people could afford 2 cars. And today, we're bringing up a generation that they're in debt. How are they going to afford a house? That's why the gap between it really bothers me.
That's why these income-based programs are so beneficial. Just because it goes based off the person's income, family size. Sometimes what they do for a living plays a role in how long they'll be paying off the loan. So there's a lot of things that you have to actually fit in, but that's why these programs are so beneficial to people, because it's, what they're looking at is the income and family size.
I see. So, I'm glad you're around. At least you can help some people, Give me just a quick idea. I don't want you to go into too much detail. The process. I know basically you can't force the government to do anything. So what do? You find the information, you try to prepare the proper documentation to get them into a program. Is that right?
Yeah, we review the loans. We try to find the best repayment plan for the client. And,
that's fair.
Try to find a solution to actually get someone out of debt.
Yeah. Hey, it's a noble cause. I want to ask Ariana. Do you know Ariana? If not, you should. She's going to be a dynamo as time goes by. But she's sitting here with me, and she's a friend. Actually, she's a friend of Helena. You know Helena, and she's she's graduated with a bunch of student loan debt. Do you have any questions for Danny?
I did have a few questions. One of my questions was, you guys were talking about the unsecured versus like the secured debt, and the loans difference.
Subsidized.
Yeah, the subsidized and the unsubsidized. What do you feel like students? What's more of the norm that you find that students can actually get? Because obviously the subsidized loan sounds like that's something I wish I would have gotten, because they're paying.
You didn't get that?
No, I didn't. They were paying the the loans off. The government's paying the interest. But how does one go about getting a subsidized loan versus
great question.
an unsubsidized loan? Because I'm sure that's what the government would rather you have, because you're paying that.
Planning, you should just really pay attention to detail. That's why it's good to know this information before going in and signing off on some papers.
Absolutely.
But there are counselors there, but you should probably more than make sure that you're putting yourself into a right loan program before signing off on those papers. So my recommendation is just do your homework before signing off on those papers.
Do your homework before you do your homework on your course.
Yeah.
And how about don't be a philosophy major, right?
Well, people are in debt before they're getting their diploma.
Exactly. let's get out there. Go be an electrician for DWP.
Obviously, having a subsidized loan would be better, because the government's paying the interest while you're in school.
Yes.
But a lot of people just go in and sign off on a paper, and then before you know it, interest is accruing.
Danny, let me tell you, there are people who sign off on their loans with mortgages. They sign escrow papers. They don't even read them. You'd be amazed.
You'd be surprised
how this thing works. But a lot of the language is difficult for people, and they're in a hurry, and it looks like, wow, I'm getting a loan. I can't wait to get my hands on this money. And bad approach, people. Wait a minute before you take the money. Think what it's really costing you in the long run. And I think what Ariana said was really smart. Go to a 2-year college. These are pretty free. But just 1 minute before I know you have somewhere to go. You're a busy man. Let me just say, things that play a role in student loan modifications is income. Does credit score, does that matter?
No, credit score has nothing to do with it. We do consolidate the loans into one loan.
Okay, so
It's a direct consolidation with the Department of Education. So the Department of Education consolidates. So if you have multiple loans, it goes into one loan, because each semester that you attended school, you're issued out a new loan.
no.
So at the end of it, it's always good to consolidate the loans, and that's what happens through this Healthcare and Education Reconciliation Act, is that the Department of Education consolidates all the multiple loans and converts it into one loan and one interest rate.
Well, that's good. So, and credit score doesn't matter, but you answered that. Now, you said dependents. What about expenses? You're a single guy or a single girl. You have normal expenses. You've run up a bunch of credit cards. Do they care that you're, or do you have to have dependents? You have to be one of those people. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are a lot of people still single. So,
no, more than likely, I mean, it just, what the main factors are is income, family size, and what you do for a living. I mean, those would be the main three components. And obviously, having the loans in good status. Defaulted loans, we could still help out with rehab programs, where you make good faith payments for 6 to 9 months and you uplift the default into repayment.
Okay, that's interesting.
But for the most part, we're able to at least try to help out majority of people.
Danny, I thank you for calling in. You're a great asset to the consumer, and we'll have you on again, and we'll be talking about this topic until we get people to start responding and understanding why it's so important. So thank you, Danny.
You guys are changing millions of lives, obviously, if you can make a difference in this community.
We really appreciate your call. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on again. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Of course.
Bye. So, Danny's a great resource, okay, for people. There's a lot of factors that go into it. If you have questions, please go to our website at www.financialsanitynow.com or call us at our number, which is 323-524-2599. That's our studio number. After hours, call 310-384-4352. You can find us a lot of places. You can find us on YouTube, myfinancialsanitynow.com. You'll find our webpage. You'll find this show rebroadcast. Apple.
We're on iTunes, yes.
iTunes.
iTunes
Apple,
podcast.
iTunes, or any other podcast. I don't know. But are there any others?
They're labeled at the end, so yeah, you can.
Okay.
You have a good list of everything if
All
you're
right.
listening. And do we have another caller? Go ahead, bring them on. We'd love to hear the story.
All right. Hello, caller.
Tell us what your name and where you're
yes.
from.
Hi.
Hi, caller.
Hello. Can you
Sound
hear
like
me?
a
Yes.
pleasant person.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you. All right.
Okay. I don't call in a lot. I think I called in once for a contest years ago. Anyway,
No
so
contest
I
here,
have,
but
unfortunately,
Yeah.
accumulated a lot of credit card debt, and now it's I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna make more, and then I'll spend less, and I'll pay it back. But now it's like it's like a mountain. It's like a mountain, and I can think whatever I want. I'm just never going to move that mountain. I don't know what to do about it, because the interest is like fake. You know what I mean? Like, that's fake money. I didn't spend their money. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
yeah.
and I called them once and said, hey, just lower this interest rate, and they said no. So,
Of course, right?
can you help with that, or?
Well,
it just makes no sense.
I mean, how much debt do you have? Is it 10, 20, 30,000 or more than that?
A little bit more, like
All right, so
32.
if it was 10, I would say 10 or under. I'd say perhaps. There's. Just pay it off. When it gets over that, I think you have to have the assistance of a company like ours. I don't know if there are others out there. I don't want you to go settle these debts. I don't want you to go there and like settle for 20 cents on the dollar, like all these companies are out there advertising. You don't have a right to settle your debt, but we do have it. No. What you want to do, you want to keep your credit for the future. Is that right?
Well,
You want to keep
you know
your
what?
credit good.
I guess so, but I'm more focused on this. The number increased. It doesn't go down.
No, it doesn't go down.
You know,
So-
or at best it might go down a tiny bit. Like if there's
you
some
can pay
months
extra.
I'm able to make some, headway against the interest, but not really.
Well, here's the best thing to do. In order to keep your credit good and bring that down, we would need to freeze your cards. And we can do that. We can freeze them in place. You won't be able to use them. No more going to Bloomingdale's. I'm
Right.
sorry for a while. You have to stop that. Okay. No more expensive lunches, but that's okay. It's only for a while. The program we have.
Well, it started when I was unemployed, and it wasn't
it
like
happens,
for fun.
yes.
You know what I mean? Like I had to do what I had to do,
had
and
a
then it just sort
necessity.
of spiraled.
Okay.
But now I'm working, so I don't need, and I do have income, and
Okay.
I don't know.
So-
Okay,
so-
but
so
okay, so you
what
freeze
we
the
can-
cards. Okay,
what we
okay,
can
and
do-
what else?
Are you getting bogged down?
I don't know what happened there. What we can do is work with you and the bank to bring your credit card rates to
Okay.
between 0 and 2%. That means it's like getting an interest-free loan. Once you get down to that rate, everything you pay will be towards principal. And that way you can pay off these cards. We'll get you an affordable payment. You'll keep your credit. You'll have a very low interest rate. If you want to ask how we do it, that'll take a little more time. Please call us at our office number,
Okay.
310-384-4352. But we can do this for you. It's not insurmountable, and I want you to go away feeling that something
Right.
can be done. Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, I have a little more hope now. So I
Little-
guess I'll just have to be in touch soon.
And
I guess.
Please
That's
be
what
in
I'll do.
touch because a lot of people say it's too good to be true. It's not. It's true. Okay, so thank you so much for calling. Okay.
Thank you a lot. Thank
that
you.
was great. So that leads us into our next topic, and I don't know if we have time to pay the movie clip. It's okay that we don't. I'm just letting you know, because I don't think we have a whole lot of time left. I may be wrong, but we need to talk about credit card debt a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to tell you that credit card is an addiction. That this lady who just called because she was unemployed, and she probably had to pay her electric bill or her gas bill, and everyone takes a credit card now. The only thing I think you can't pay, I know you can pay electric, I know you can pay gas. I think the only thing you can't pay with a credit card is another credit card.
Yeah. You
Right.
can't pay credit with another credit card.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you could, I think then everyone would be doing that,
And then we'd
it'd
all be in
a bigger mess. So I know
Maybe there's reason for
I
that.
know because I tried it. Okay, so years ago, there were only layaway plans. That's all you had. You go, you give the department store some money, and they'd force you into putting a little money aside, and then came Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you celebrate, and boom, you had enough money to get that new vacuum, toaster, toy, whatever it was. These were called layaway plans. Before that, you could borrow against land or sheep or crops or some kind of asset-based lending. And that's all that was available. And the economy was growing. But, of course, banks figured out how we can grow this even faster. And the only way to do it is to offer unsecured credit. That's what a credit card is. They're not secured by anything. You're not putting up anything to them, then they are putting the money back to you. Now, if you really know economics, it's not their money either, okay? They can borrow that money from the Federal Reserve at about 2%. They can charge you anywhere from 18 to 24 to 29%. So I'm getting a signal here that we're going to have to, I'm going to talk quickly. We're going to have to go into more credit card information on
Well,
the
maybe
next
we
show.
can skip the history and go a little bit more into the
Okay.
solutions.
Well, let me just say this in
Or maybe
the
some
history.
tips.
I'm just going to give you something real. Thank you. That's important. But I'm just going to give you an idea how you did get addicted. Remember this? Can't leave home without it. American Express. It's everywhere you want to be. Visa. And then we have celebrity endorsements, Jennifer Garner and every other celebrity telling you which credit card you should have. Not that it's 29.99% interest. So, as you said, let's go into some
What's
solutions.
in your wallet, right?
What's in your wallet, right? And it's hopefully it's cash. We need to go into ways to take control of your credit card debt. First of all, start budgeting. If you don't have a budget out there, I want to see a budget. If you need help, call us. Go to www.financialsanitynow.com and ask for budgeting help. It's free. We will go over a budget with you. I live on a budget.
So do I. It's a great way to make sure that
this
you're.
way I know what I need each month without using credit cards. And then you set yourself up for success that way. Know what's the healthy and unhealthy use of credit cards. When you start getting into debt, what's unhealthy is things you need. You think you need. Okay? What do you think you need or what is necessary? They're two different things. Okay? And you really need to see the difference. Right now, you don't need to charge a credit card, a vacation. You don't need to charge fancy shoes. If you have cash, then go with that. I do want to say quickly that if you are in credit card debt, please call us at 310-384-4352. You'll get through directly. And we will go into credit cards again. I think we've missed this 2 shows now. We run over. But student loan debts was very important.
We had a lot
very
of great
important
questions.
to go. So I want to wrap up by saying thank you to all our listeners. You can reach us on iTunes. You can reach us on YouTube. We appreciate you spending part of the evening with us. And to all our callers, thank you again for getting angry with us, sharing your problems. Next week, we will be doing a rerun show because I'll be away scuba diving. And we will have a show, though, that'll run on loan modifications and short sales. It'll be on UBN Channel 1 at 5 o'clock. And a special promotion for our UBN listeners. You can get a free credit report analysis. Just text 310-384-4352 with your name, email, and FSN on UBN for a free credit analysis or a budget analysis. We have budget experts also. Financial Sanity also offers credit repair, credit card consolidation, interest rate negotiation, credit card reduction, mortgage rate reduction, medical debt negotiations. That's also causing a lot of problems out there. Those are some of our many services. I'm getting tongue-tied in your water. Okay. All right. So, again, check out our website at www.Financial Sanity Now. Look us up on Yelp, Financial Sanity Now. Make sure you look at our reviews. We're all 5 stars. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And just keep getting angry. Keep telling us what's on your mind. That's how we live, to serve you, to be here for you. If you have a special topic you want us to discuss, just tell us. Remember, America, keep calling in with your stories. Call in and tell us, because we're not going to take it anymore.